Right. So next topic we'll discuss introduction to classical report, and there is a content how we are going to create ABAP reports, right? The types of reports. So what exactly the classical report, and how many events are there in a classical report, and along with the classical report, so we'll work out message classes, how to create a message classes. So by end of this presentation, you are going to learn objectives. After completing this chapter, you will be able to learn to understand what are the ABAP reports and the purpose of the reports in ABAP development, to understand what are the types of the reports, how many types of reports, to understand what are the classical report and events in a classical report, to understand events are processed, how it is processed in ABAP classical reports, then to understand what is a basic list, because every classical report will be produced by one basic list, and how the basic list displayed in a classical report, and how to create a message class and declare the message classes in a report. This is what you are going to learn in this presentation. Next, so before the classical report, overall reports are this many types, 6 types of reports in ABAP. One is a classical report, interactive report, then ALV reports, then views, and then ABAP queries, and a logical database. Right. And before that, the purpose of the reports are like programs that read data from the database and display it in the format of output list. And the requirement like here, so any report which right, the purpose of the reports are used in a day-to-day business environment. For example, so you have to prepare purchase order report, right? Vendor-wise, how much purchase you have done today, or a weekly or monthly sales purchase order, or you can go through based on user inputs, and display the balance of like how much you have to pay to the vendors to be bill paid on the particular date. And not only for this purpose, reports are internal purpose, whereas forms are external purpose. When you say reports are internal, because within a business, so there are n number of departments. If you want to communicate with the department to department, or if you want to communicate or summarize the business according to the module wise, right, department wise, so that we have to prepare reports. And also enhance the efficiency and transparency of the business process. Then if you want like to take sound decision makings with a control of master data and accurate reporting purpose, and relevant documents you have to submit to the immediately for availability in a case of any drill down reports, or some cases you have to file, you have to return your to things for the government or statutory report purpose, and multiple angles of the data representing and a forecasting of the values, how it is providing. In such a cases, we are going to prepare reports. So we'll see now how to create a report, what exactly the kind of classical report, and what are the events are there in a reports. So first of all, events blocks or report, right? There are like couple of events. One is initialization, at selection screen or a validation, and then after that start of selection. Based on that report will fetch the records, and end of selection, at line selection. These are the events, so which we are going to use it. And there is a screen events and list events are separate. Check now. So before this, the classical report are most simple reports. These reports gives output using the write statement inside a loop. Right, we have to create a loop at iTab and in loop. By using write statement, you'll get the output. The classical reports or normal reports don't have any sub reports, only plain, and it having only on a screen the list output. One screen, one list output. It gives us output in a basic list. For example, the output you'll get like this. This we used to call as a basic list, right? Only like standard selection screens are available. For example, you can enter 1 to 100 or 1 to 1000. depends upon the input criteria. So based on that, you'll get output. So whatever we are getting the output, that output which we used to call as a list output. Right. I will focus now the events. What are the events? ABAP is an event-driven language. Till now, we have not done any events. So we can say that whatever we have created earlier examples, all these examples are right ABAP queries, because it means a simple normal SQL queries. When you have at least one events in a report, so those events which we used to call as reports, right? There are seven types of events. One is initialization, add selection screen on field. These three events are belongs to screen event. The screen events are nothing but your standard select option screen. Then there are four events. One is start of selection, then top of page, end of selection. These four events are applicable for list output. Based on the output, it is generated based on these events. ABAP is an event-driven programming language. It will start with the first event, ends with the starting of next event. Like check here, there is initialization is an event. There is no proper end of initialization event. So whatever under this initialization, how many lines of code you have written, that lines are belongs to the initialization keyword. If the starting with a new event, under this how many lines you have written before starting of next event, that lines belongs to particular event. Now we'll see what are the events, how to do. Before that, to restrict the number of lines per page, right, to restrict the standard page heading, whenever you execute a program, so by default you'll get a standard page heading, one short description, then followed by one underline, then I'll get a particular page number. If you want to delete that three things, then a report followed by name of the report, and here you have to type it the keyword no standard page heading. If you type the no standard page heading, so by default it will delete title, underline plus page number. Next, line count, because in SAP ABAP classical report contains line count, so 60,000 lines will be treated as a one page, right? Then it's not a user friendly reports, so that we have to go with a user friendly, like we can create how many lines you want, like 25 lines, you can treat it as a one page, so that you have to write first decide the line count. After report, so there is a line -count is a keyword, you have to enter 25. If you enter only 25 without option 3, so this indicates 25 lines are indicated for body of the page. If you write line count 25 of 3, for example, there is no limit, 100 of 3 or like 10 something, then this 3 lines belongs to reserved for footer. And then you can print like a top of page heading, like a footer information. Right. Then each and every line contains maximum 1023 lines, and in that case 125 lines, then for example 255 lines is a default and 1023 is a maximum per line number of characters are counted. In such a cases, user choice, you can provide so a number of lines in a per page. Right, first we'll focus what is initialization and how it will trigger the initialization event. Initialization is an event, it will trigger before start of selection of your event. So if you want to calculate default values for the standard selection screen, so under this initialization, so we have to validate something so that before select options screen, the values are displayed under initialization. So displayed under selection screen. Right. Next. So what is at-line selection? For example, you have provided some inputs onto like a selection screen, For example, you're providing metal master or a customer or vendor master 1 to 100. So how do I know that 1 to 100 records are presented in a database or not? If there is no proper validation, system will pick that and it will execute the piece of code. Instead of that, so by checking based on the size of ASICs, you can directly validate that particular screen so that we can restrict and we can communicate for the user, and attach with this some message classes also can populate. According to that, end user can conclude so and so records are not there. Without that, he cannot proceed. And basically, it is for handling errors or any information or a success messages purpose. Next, at selection screen on field, a particular field you can validate. For example, select options or parameters like a select options. If you want to handle that, then you have to specify at selection screen on a specific field. We can validate a particular field in input on a selection screen under this event, so which we are going to write it like at selection screen. For example, P file or like a S underscore matner or a kun or whatever. You can do some validation if lower limit is greater than upper limit, and you can provide some errors or warnings, whatever information you can do it. Next, there is a start of top of page event. If you need some portion of the output like a column headings to appear in all the pages, then we have to give this event in a report, top of page event. So under this, whatever you have written, for example, sales order information, this information will be printed on each and every page in a classical report, right? So but there is a constraint on this. So whenever you declare top of page, if there is no external output statement before the top of page event, for example, the external outputs are nothing but skip back, like skip new line character, then any skip number of counts or write statement, so that it will trigger, otherwise it won't trigger. Next, end of page event. Once the cursor reaches the last line of the page, this will trigger automatically by using this trigger event. End of page is the event. Here you have to write some lines of code and write so and so, like end of the page is 75 characters. For example, you are printing line uline up to 75 characters, and this you want to print in a footer every page, like for example S5 on page number, so current page number it will display. Then again you can write it one underline up to 75 characters length. This will decide so up to what extent you want to print your underlined page. Some cases there are explicit area. If for example second page is not filled up to the last line of the body of the page, this event will not be triggered. So then based on a end of page, there is a line count minus line number, so we have to do it dynamically, so based on that it will work. Let me explain all this stuff with one example so that you can understand more, so how to do top of page, end of page, right? Next event is start of selection and end of selection. Start of selection event is a default event out of all the events. Means it is a default, means must and should you have to open. So generally the start of selection event, so which we are going to place it before select query, because it indicates you are getting the data from the main query, so you are selecting the process. That's what a start of selection. And at this, don't write it a normal queries, based on that measure like main queries we have to write it. And end of selection, it indicates you're ending all the selection process, and before loop at right tab you have to place it, so that after end of selection, what are the lines you have written that belongs to end of selection. So generally select queries where class condition we have to conclude here only. Right. Look at now the picture how it is moving that data. For example, 1 to 100 if I have provided here, then this is called as a standard selection screen, right? For example, you have entered 1 to 100. When you execute that, so the process goes like this. Then this event will be triggered, find immediately start of selection. It will get the data. If there is any initialization, before standard selection screen, it'll get initialization data on selection screen. Once you have done 1 to 100 or anything, then at selection screen will trigger. If there is no at selection screen, directly start of selection event will be triggered. Then it indicates your main query will be executed, and it'll get the data from the database. Then back to the code in SE38, then you used to write it loop at iTab and unloop. In this, so we have to write it write statement, then print from internal table so and so records. Then with respect to this records, the list will be created automatically. This is called this output, which we used to call as basic list. Yeah, so we'll complete some SAP how to create message classes. Then after that, I'll write a piece of code along with the message classes, how to create internal tables, how to create a classical. Generally, we used to write it like this. After start of selection, main query, write statement, then output will get like this. The next concept will work out message classes. When you create a user-defined message classes, you have to create SE91 is a message class. Based on that, you have to create user-defined messages. All the message classes are stored in a T100 tables, and at a time we can create 1,000 messages, user-defined messages. This message contains language key and the characters of lines, number, and a message text, everything. So basically the messages are these many types. First one is S for status, or we can go through like a success message. If the program like provides a proper information, if you want to provide in a down, there is a status line, green color. If you want to show that so successfully done, then you can use status always in a green color. Next, information message. This message appears in a dialog box, right? Once the user has confirmed the message, the program continues immediately after message statement. The information message doesn't stop your program, just it is simply for user purpose, it will continue. Next, W for warning. It depends upon the program context, and error dialog appears on the program. Based on that, it will go through warnings or explanatory mark, and it's a yellow color. And additionally, whenever you got warnings, user has to be press one more enter button by using keyboard. Next, error message, E for error. It depends upon the program context, and error dialog appears in the program, it is terminates. Without providing proper information on error 1 to 100 or 1 to 1000, you cannot proceed with errors. The message appears in a dialog box. For example, type A, terminate. So you'll get a message dialog box, the program terminates, and also you'll get one exit button. You have to terminate your program by using a terminate statement. And X is for exit. No message is displayed, and all the program like terminates with a short dumps. Program terminates with the short dumps normally only occurs when the runtime errors, but message X allows you to force a program should be dumped. But some cases you can check with the error handlings and all. So based on that exit runtime errors, you can see that what exactly. And the messages are how to declare, like if you know like message class, how to declare. For example, using a global class, and message is a keyword. T is like which type of message you are creating. Just now we did right? 6 types of messages instead of like this. T indicates either information, success, or error message, or anything you can use it. There is a number. Each and every message class contain 1,000 messages. You can populate your own message number, and that message will be displayed at a runtime. With is a keyword F1, F2, like there are a number of fields, and a raising exception, you can go through some exception handling. Right, messages are dynamic and static. Static means by using number and which message class ID you are going to use it. Based on that, with F1, F4 raising exception, you can create it. And a dynamic messages, no need to declare within a program, within SE, not program, within a SE91. So you have to create it dynamically at a runtime. You can go with your own dynamic messages. Message ID is a keyword. With respect to ID, you can type it type T, so which type of number, and raise N like with exceptions. So we'll see whatever we have created. We are going to work now how to create messages and all, how to create events. Right, in a logon pad, go to like a transaction code SE38. So here you have to create let me create a classical report. Right, click on create. Provide short description. So any description I can enter on this. Then select ABAP program type. Here you have to select executable program. Then I click on create a save. Right, I can save it in a local object or create a package and can save it. So for timing, we are creating in a local object. Then after this, so you have to create a tables. For example, you are creating a which tables. Right, let me create with the tables like a Mara table. And then I'm going to create one internal table. Right, here there is a data keyword. Right, so begin of iTab, any iTab name, occurs 0. Right, next we have to create end of iTab. So here, so we have to create a Matner type Mara-Matner. So let me create a few fields from the Mara table. Works type Material Master Mara table -works. Next, MTRT, this is material type Mara-MTRT. Then after this, so there is a BRGW. This is a gross weight type. So Mara table -BRGW. Next, last field I'm going to take like ntgew type. So Mara is a table hyphen ntgew. Right, we have created with the 6 fields by using a Mara table. So BRGW, NTGW, gross weight and net weight. So right after this BRNTGW, so we have to create select options, like a select option name. We can write it anything Matner, for example, for so Mara hyphen Matner. Right, I've created select option. Then so here we are going to write it start of selection. There is an event. Right, a default event is start of selection. I have opened. Then here you have to write it main query. Select Matner. Right, next one is MBRSH. Next, there is a MTRT. Next, BRGW. Next, there is a field NTGW. Right, from there is a Mara table. Then after that into table. So let me create into a table item, and here so weight Matner in S underscore Matner, because whatever original table Matner in S Matner. Then after that you have to create a loop at item, and then you have to create a end loop. Right, in within this you have to create a write statement. So from that you have to print itab hyphen Matner. Next, so we have to print from internal table, second table, itab hyphen MBRSH. Next, itab hyphen MTRT. Next, you have to print itab hyphen BRGW. This is a gross weight. Next, you have to print itab hyphen NTGW. So done with the printing, loop at itab and all. Now we have to introduce the keywords. Right here, there is a end of selection. This is a process is ending here. Right. So let me execute this program first, and I will introduce what is the initialization, how to supply the values for this. Now click on save first, and activate your program. Then I click on enter. Right, so run your code now first. So let me write it 1 to 100 in a input box here. Right, I click on execute here. Right, when you click that, you'll get a records. This is what a Matner, and industrial sector is 1 character, material type is 4 characters, gross weight and net weight. And now every time I don't want to enter this 1 to 100, so under this initialization event I'm going to write it here. So let me introduce initialization event here. So this is initialization event. So under this, uh, there is s underscore Matner hyphen low, because there is a select option properties. Whenever you create a select option with any name, by default system will create one special internal table. The internal table name is s underscore Matner. S Matner low equals to 1. You can place it like this. Next, copy this and S Matner high. Right, filling that higher details. Right, upper limit is 100. Then we have to go with like a append. So S underscore Matner, because one value we have to append. So internal table, that's the reason we have appended. Now look at here, click on save option. Right, click on activate button. Click on enter. Right, when you execute this, look at this. We have not entered anything in a select option screen. So we got it default values automatically. This is what initialization. The initialization event will execute before before this selection screen, the standard selection screen. Then after that, you can populate, you can put any values on standard select options keywords. We can execute this, we'll get the output. Right, this is what initialization. The next requirement is here. I want to delete this standard default, like there is a short description is printing your program short description. Then one underline is printing here. Then there is a page number here 1. I want to delete these 3 values. Then back to the code and back to the program and go to the first line of the report. Here you have to enter there is a no standard page heading. If you write this standard page heading, system won't print out an output level. There is no standard page heading. Right, click on execute. Now click on execute again. Check, there is no standard page heading. Directly you are utilizing from the first line of the first character. Then next I want to provide, for example, one step back. You have entered 1000 here, upper limit. Then execute this. Look at this, you'll get 1000 values, but I want to break every 10 or 15 lines. I used to treat a top of page. In such a case, you have to go back and click again back. Here you have to count no. Right, a line count is there is a keyword. Line count, for example, I'm going to treat 10 or 15 lines of 3. Right, I have created 15 lines reserved for total number of page. Out of 15 lines, 12 lines are reserved for body of the page, 3 lines are reserved for footer. Right, and now activate this, click on enter. Now execute this and go with 100 or 1000. Right, I click on execute now. Look at, because we have given 15 lines, you are not able to see like it is breakdown or not. Then one step back and provide here 1000. Click on execute. Look at now. Here there is a every 15 lines, then 12 lines are reserved for body of the page, 3 lines are reserved for footer. Then after that it is started as a one page, like it is like a pages. Because of the reason here in SAP ABAP there is a 60,000 lines which we used to call as a one page. That's the reason user-friendly reports you can go it with whatever how many lines you treated as one page, right? So we have divided a page. So now we'll create a top of page event after end of page, end of loop. Then here I'm creating top of page event. Under this, for example, I want to write statement with there is like a material master info. Right, this page heading I want to print it. Next I want to write it end of page also. End of page. If I write end of page, for example, write statement, then here uh, let us say page and number. Here I want to print S5 hyphen PHG NO. This is a page number. Right, here you have to click on this. Right, there is a save option. Now activate this. Click on enter. Right, execute your program with respect to 100. Now we are able to see that like a material master. Why end of page is not triggered? Because the property of end of page, it should trigger when the control is reached to the last line of the page, because we have done 15. For example, you can provide 1 to 1000 and click on execute this. Look at now, here the page number 1 and a page number 2, and we have allocated 3 lines. That's what it is printing here. Like next, go to like page number 3, page number 4 will get like. So this is a way you can go through like convenient way you can create your program. And top of page, each and every report, it is created one heading. That's what a top of page. Like this you can scroll down, then you'll get a page 3, 4, 5 like this. Right. Then observe in the last page. Right. There is no end of page is not triggered, or else for example I want to provide 1 to 100, but even though your end of page should be triggered, but it is not triggering, because so dynamically we have to calculate how many lines are blank, then based on that it will execute. So before that, one step back, let me create one variable here in a top level. Yeah, so here I am creating data, let us say count type I. Just have created integer, right, count. Right, so before top of page event, that here count equals to, let us say S5 hyphen so total lines allocated, how many lines, minus how many lines you have created, that you have to create. Right, LIN CT, total number of lines allocated, line count minus SY hyphen LIN and current line number. Additionally, I am providing one empty line, so to provide one more extra line for that. Then after that, click on enter. Then now skip count. So total number of lines allocated 15 minus last record it is printed, then according to this it will work. Total line number. Now execute this, click on enter. it is sy-line number. So activate syntactically correct, then execute now. Activate. Now click on execute. Right, 1 to 100, even though it is triggering. Now what we have done, so we have calculated default empty lines, and that many lines we have skipped. So one step back. Right, I put a breakpoint for this. Now observe total number of lines, how many lines we have allocated. It is 15 lines. Execute this. Click on execute. Right, I've done in a debugging. So let me show in a debugging how it is executing. Right, here desktop, like click on line count. Look at now total number of lines allocated 15, and I double click on this line number. Right, so current line last line number is 11. 15 minus 11, so that 4 lines are skipped, and additionally have given one more line, so it is triggering now. So that many lines we are skipping automatically. Look at now, so 15 minus 11 minus skip, that many lines you have to skip. So with this we have done with the events. So classical report contains initialization. Now we'll see the next event, how to interact with the head selection screen and how to write the validation for that. Then we'll see. Right, head selection screen on. There is a like head selection screen on value request or p file on specific file s underscore matner. For example, we'll create it on message class. If sy hyphen size not equals to 0, then I'm going to raise message. Right, message is a keyword. Right, here I'm going to create like for example s message, and before this size then I'm going to create like a select, like a single. Select single is a keyword. Matner from Mara, right, into, like there is a D matner, right, where matner equals, where matner in s underscore matner. Here, so let me create a one dummy variable here. So let us say for example data is a keyword, d underscore matner type mara hyphen matnr. Alright, a d matner. So I've created one dummy matner which is mara matner. I'm selecting at selection screen on specific field. Okay, then select single matner from Mara into placing D matner dummy field where versional. If size not equals to 0, or if size for example will work out if size equals to 0, then I want to provide status message like success message. I am creating along with the message class also now. Let us say for example z MSG whatever message class here, right, if should be and if, right. So what I am doing here, parallelly I am creating through message class message ID status 000 of message class. Till now we have not created message class. That's what, select message class and double click on that so that you can directly create message class automatically. So place the cursor on message. Message does not exist. Click on create. So you are creating message class. Yes, you have to click on create. Right, enter some short description here. Go to messages. Click on local object. Right. So every message contain 1000 messages from 000 to 999. Like one message class is enough to create 1000. For example, here right, have written records are available in database. This I can use it any success message. Like there is a info a message. The next error no records in like a database. Next like a warning a message for user. You can write it any text in this and I can populate that text. Right, for example, error like abandon msg. Next exit a message. Right, so right, I have created 6 messages. First one is the records. This message I can populate. Records are available in database. Right, whenever it is success, I suppose you can go through with this message. If information, there is no information, like I can provide information message for user, like there is anything you can write it here. Like then the errors, right, success, information, errors, warning, abandon, exit, you can create like this. Click on save this. Right, or else directly go to SC91. You can create a message class, you can attach directly. It is activated now. Look at now. So the main query should start with a startup selection only, but here the subquery, because only for validation purpose, I have took the select. Click on activate, then click on enter. Now execute this. I know some records are there 1 to 100. Then when you execute, look at in a status line, you're able to see that message classes are populated because I've done a debugging. Let me come out from the debug or execute this. You're able to see that records are there in a database. So let me go back this. So we'll delete the breakpoint and we'll observe now. Yep. So now look at 1 to 100. When you execute this, you're able to see the records are available in database. This is what a green color success message you'll get it. For example, when you go back here right? I want to write it information message. You can populate like same thing, and go to instead of is message success message, you can provide information. But information message is starting with we have written like a second 001. I want to populate under 001 which message is available if equals to 0, but at least one record is presenting. Click on continue so that you can execute. You'll get a information window, right? Click on execute this. Check you're able to see that information window here. Info message, whatever text you have written under that, you'll get that text. Like information, it will not stop any errors. It simply can continue with that. There is no harmful. The next will work out error message. For example, I want to print number 2 text available in the message class. I'll go with errors. So when do I go with errors? If I know that size of if not equals to 0, I want to print errors, user friendly messages, and execute this. Click on activate, click on enter. Then when you run this code, for example 1 to 100 there are records, 1 to 10 there are no records. Definitely your SysABAP becomes failure. When you execute this, you'll get a message red color, errors, no records in database. This text we are printing, that's what errors. Until unless if you proceed any warnings, errors, it will not stop, it will not provide, it will not proceed your program. If you provide 100, then execute, you'll get the data, because errors once you have corrected, you're able to go to back. Click on back and click on one step back. This is what you have to handle errors. So for example, I want to go with the warnings, then type it here instead of EW. In a warning message we have written under third, then you can go through with the third and activate this. Click on enter, then run. Look at here, I have done with the not equals to 0. I know that no records. If you execute this, you'll get a warning. Check in a yellow color signal, there is a warning, warning messages. You can execute directly, but it won't stop. It acts like execution and provide user information. You have to correct it. Then next, if you want to do like a append message, for example 4, then I want to write it like a warning A. Then click on activate, click on enter. So what we have done, this is static messages. When I execute this, right, if size of C not equals to 0, 110, when you execute this, you'll get a message append, and right, there is no option, user has to be stopped. At any point you have to exit from the program because you have abandoned, and this message will be appear. You have to click on exit. There is no option. Directly you have to open again SC38, click on enter, and open your program. Click on continue, go with the change. Now we can write the code under this. Then we'll see one more exit. There is a X. X is a dump error analysis purpose, and I can populate like any 5th or 6th messages, and under this message whatever you have created, activate and run. Now execute this code. I know that SysABAP is failure. Wherever it becomes, it is dumps to the runtime error analysis. Check program is gone for terminate, and ABAP program is running, and message class type X, and description will get like this. This is what a type of message you will get, and you can identify whenever you will get like this errors, and you have to go through. There is an arrow symbol it provides. There you can conclude there is an issue with that. Line number 35 is error. There some we have written manually. By force we are going to dump your runtime error analysis. If you want to see that, there is ST22 is a T code. You can go through that all dump error analysis. Let one step back. Right, this is what we have created, static messages, and open one more time your program SC38, and you can create a dynamic message classes also With this we have done with the static messages 6 times. In dynamic messages we have to open program. Let me create with ampersands one dynamic message classes, some message text. So double click on this message class, open in a change mode. Right, let me create with ampersands, like address of the variable you have to pass it. Here I am not doing any hard coded, but by using 006 I can write some dynamic messages at a time. Save, one step back. For example, here I want to print a number 6, but I don't want to write a message class, so I want to write with is a keyword. Right, let me take it this as an information window. If size of RC equals to 0, then let me populate this value. So with is a keyword, you can go with any dynamic messages. Dynamic message calling. Right, I've placed in a program itself one message, that because first you have to reserve number of lines, ampersands and all. According to that you can call directly. Now let me activate this. Click on enter. Display this, which kind of error you are getting. Right, there is a message ID. Yeah, message class is not getting here. First you have to write it which message class. ZMSZ. I guess we have written 1. Let me recap that. So you have to provide message class of, and after that you have to create a with, then it will work. So you can call message dynamically like this, I0006. This is what a message. You have to populate message ID with the dynamic message. Whatever you have called, you can call it, like you can create it whatever message. Then simply activate that and execute now. So when you execute this, you'll get a dynamic message, because here I have not done any static, and in a program whatever you have placed with keyword, you will get a dynamic message automatically. You can continue with this, you'll get. So this is a way you have to handle the messages. Now with this we have done message class how to handle, and here I have done first option. I have created message and double click on this, so that you are able to create a message class. Or option 2, you can create, go to SE91 directly. SE91 is a T code. After that you can create, for example you want to create a second message, so directly you can create, like a click on create, and here also you are able to see that same way what you have done, it is calling that you can create your own message classes. Right, after this message you can copy that, and I can provide any number. Then here click on messages. Right, click on local object. Like this you can enter anything what we have done same. So once you have created message class dynamically or outside SC38, later you can attach this message class here by using message ID. and with that you're able to go through initially any kind of messages with a message number you're able to post.